What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another review of the Bad Batch here on Certified Gumbo. I see we got a number of people in the chat, man. Chat's already jumping early in the episode. That's what I like to see, man. My man Sheev, the Wise, is in here. Shout out to Vader's Lair. Go check him out on YouTube, man. Go subscribe if you haven't subscribed to Vader's Lair. Good dude. That's my man's right there. Ducky Momo's also in the chat. The Captain's Log, Daniel, Fisher. What's happening, man? Good to see you. Got a good crowd today. Hey, you know what's funny about this? Not much to talk about this episode, to be honest. This is probably my least, no, it's not probably, this is definitely my least favorite episode of this series thus far, but that's okay. You know, things like this happen. I'm not upset about it. But yeah, you know, as we always do, on a scale of 1 to 10, please rank this episode in the chat. But I'm going to give it a 4. That's my lowest rank of the season thus far. But hey, I mean, hey, you know, it's a little fillery. And you know, yes, I know, filler. Ooh, bad term here. But you know, a lot of times with filler gets a bad rep because if it's done wrong, it's a complete waste of time. I don't feel like this episode is a complete waste of time. It's not a waste of time at all. It's highly entertaining. High entertainment value, that's for sure. But as far as progression of the story and the plot, character development and all that stuff is not really there. But it is a fun-filled adventure. That is definitely positive. That really is the 4 points for me. But as far as everything else, that's where it's kind of lacking. Yeah, no, for me, some good things about it. You know, Roland is a character that was introduced in this episode, and he's definitely going to be our morally ambiguous criminal, you know, that we always get in series like this. Very, you know, important character within the Star Wars universe. If you're a fan of the Clone Wars, you know, that's Hondo. If you are a fan of Rebels, that's Zavago. If you're a fan of the original trilogy, of course, that's Han and that's Lando. They're your fun-loving criminals that end up being okay. But you know, when you first meet them, they're a little, how do you say it? Maybe less trustworthy. You don't really know where they lean, but you know, by the end of it, you know that they're good people. They have good hearts. They're not completely corrupted, and you know, they end up fighting the good fight. And that's what he is. I know that's what he's going to be. We'll see Roland again, and that's the Deveronian, the horned alien, that is kind of sort of the crux of this entire plot for this episode. But yeah, that's kind of sort of his arc, and I'm pretty sure we'll see him again at some point. Probably not in this season, but definitely in the series going forward. He'll be a recurring character. Let's see what we're saying in the chat. So Captain's Law gave it a 5. Okay, I'll stick it with a 6. Daniel also says a 6. Ducky says 6. So yeah, you know, I'm not surprised. I can see you ranking it that high. You know, hey, the scale is yours. Like, you know, scale of 1 to 10, you put it wherever you want to. It's really subjective. It's how much you got out of it, not how I felt about it or what I got out of it. My score is my score. Your score is your score. That's how it works, you know. That's how it should be. That's how we have civil discourse, you know. This one helps my irresponsible speculation that Filoni is slowly but surely building the George Lucas sequels his own way. Yeah, you know, I can see that. I feel like the Filoniverse is definitely an extension of George Lucas, or at least his vision. We know that things happen with the sequels. We won't get into that, but you know, if you like the sequels, you like the sequels. If you don't like the sequels, that's fine. You know, it's all subjective. It's all entertainment. At the end of the day, we're here because we love Star Wars. We love to talk about Star Wars. We love to watch Star Wars. And, you know, if there are certain things you don't like about certain movies, certain TV shows, you know, that's okay. That's fine. But I definitely think because of his tutelage and the amount of time he spent with George Lucas, you know, I don't think it's some like plot against Disney orchestrated by George Lucas and Dave Filoni behind their back or whatever. But I think his understanding of how Star Wars storytelling through the eyes of George Lucas, his understanding of that is clear and has been apparent for a while now. So, you know, of course, I think he's got his ways are very similar to George Lucas, because that's who taught him how to tell Star Wars stories. So, yeah, I mean, his world building skills, his character building ability, he likes to play the long game. Dave Filoni, that is, like, he is a serialized storyteller, so he will take his time with character development, and that's fine, because it does have payoff. Like Ahsoka Tano is the, you know, shining example of that. When she entered the scene, she was not a fan favorite. She was vehemently hated by a large group of the fan base, but, you know, by season 4, that was season 4, right? Whenever she left the Order, by that point in time, she had become a fan favorite, and that kind of sort of solidified her as a fan favorite, her taking that direct action after what happened to her. And then, you know, her reappearance and everything. So yeah, her entire character journey is just a testament to his ability to tell stories and grow characters. What species was the pet? I have no idea. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. Don't really care all that much. War Mantle is next week, so that's the title of the episode. And Joel Aaron, who is a creative director or director of cinematography, I believe, at Lucasfilm, he did confirm that there are 3 more episodes after this one, so there are 16 episodes in this show. So I'm expecting these last 3 episodes to be really, really good. You know, we know episode 14 is called War Mantle, which was teased and hinted in, you know, what was that, episode 1 or 2 early in the show. It is also mentioned in Rogue One. It's one of the names on the list that Cassian Andor is reading as they're trying to find the plans for the Death Star. So, you know, continuity there. I'm pretty sure we'll see exactly what War Mantle is. I'm speculating that War Mantle is probably the Death Trooper program. Maybe the Death Trooper program and maybe the Dark Trooper program. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. We did see the Phase 1 Dark Troopers in episode 1 in the ARC Trooper test grounds, training grounds. So remember from the Clone Wars, that training room was what the ARC Troopers used in order to pass and become ARC Troopers. So, you know, I think we could see that, you know, War Mantle thing come to fruition. I think the Death Troopers might be the viable option for replacing the Clone Troopers. I think that's my theory as it stands right now. Like, the Death Troopers seem to be, you know, the superior conscription soldier compared to the, you know, your normal stormtroopers. Like, their combat prowess seems to be far superior. They're bigger. They're genetically modified. You know, they're kind of Spartanish from Halo. Shout out to all my Halo fans out there. But that's kind of the vibe I get with them. More or less, you know, they're special forces, so of course they get special training. But I think the Dark Troopers and Death Troopers are more comparable to a Clone Trooper, and especially if you can train like a specialist squad, because we see that in a lot of modern warfare tactics today. If that's what they're, you know, going with this, like, gone are the days of these large standing armies. Like, you really prioritize specialized troops and special forces divisions that can go in small teams that can they have less of a footprint, but they can be as effective or more effective than a large standing army. And I think that's kind of sort of what the Death Troopers represent. I think that, honestly, especially if you're talking about, you know, saving money and cutting costs, because the clones are not cheap. But if you can create a special forces unit that is as effective as a clone army, you know, that to a Tarkin and to an Emperor Palpatine, that's definitely a better option than the Clone Army. Ducky Momo says, so do you think Crosshair will utilize the Death Troopers as an anti-Bad Batch force, or just a new strong force? Probably both. I think both. I think I could see a scenario where the troops that he's in his new platoon, his new unit, if he were to replace these with, or let's say they get the Death Trooper upgrade, I don't know what that involves, some level of genetic modification, because they're all like, I think 6'5", 6'6", they're pretty tall. They're supposed to be tall, imposing figures. So, let's say they get that modification, that gives them an advantage over possibly the Bad Batch. Maybe Omega plays a part in that. I don't know. But let's say hypothetically, right? Like, we know Omega is the key because she is the genetic template, the pure genetic template for Jango Fett. Same as Boba. So if they were able to, maybe cross her DNA with a conscription soldier that was compatible, that would, I don't know, some that might be a little too dark for Star Wars, but I don't know. I think a genetically modified troop like the Death Troopers and Dark Troopers are probably the comparable replacement for clone troopers. I also rewatching the the season 2 finale of The Mandalorian. Giancarlo Esposito's character, I forget his name, Moff Gideon, he is talking about the Dark Trooper program, and when they ask about their cybernetic troops, and he tells them about replacing the man inside with, and it's all 100% machine. I think maybe that is what War Mantle is. Maybe we'll see that. The phase 2, which is the cybernetic troopers, we see that with Tech. Not Tech, but Echo. He's a cybernetically enhanced clone trooper. Maybe we'll see the cybernetically enhanced Death Troopers. That's also an option, and I think that they could possibly compete. But there's some issues there, and maybe we'll see what those issues were and why they had to switch to a fully automated Death Trooper program. Maybe we'll see Moff Gideon at some point. I didn't even think about that until now. That's cool. Yeah, Moff Gideon. That might be a Dark Horse like appearance. That would be kind of cool to see Moff Gideon appear in this show, taking on this, because he's with ISB right now. He's with the Imperial Security Bureau at this point in his career. We do know he was an ISB agent up until the Mandalorian Uprising, so that would definitely put him within the service of the ISB at this point in his career. That would be kind of cool to see. Definitely be kind of cool. He might even appear in Andor, a younger version of Moff Gideon. We shall see, man. What you think about that theory? Daniel Fisher, thank you for subscribing. I saw that just came through. Hey, does this play? Why does it not play? There it is. Boom. Thank you. Appreciate that. Where do you think Crosshair and his squad is? How many episodes till he pops? I'm willing to bet 1.5. That's a good bet. I think we'll see Crosshair. We'll definitely see Crosshair next episode, and he might be in every episode until the season finale, and he'll definitely be in the season finale. What's up, Mom? Thank you for tuning in. Hey, if you're just hopping in and you didn't give your score, let me know. Scale of 1 to 10, where do you rank this episode? I gave it a 4. I know It's low, shocking. Never. I think that's the lowest score I've given an episode. Not only for the Bad Batch, but I think for WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki. I don't think I've given anything below a 6, honestly. I'm on board with the Moff Gideon appearance. I am too. It makes more sense now, right? Like, I hadn't even considered that as an option, but the closer we get to War Mantle, and we'll see it next episode, but depending on what War Mantle is, he's actually a viable option. And Giancarlo Esposito could definitely come in and voice the character. Like, he loves that character. We know he loves the character. He's talked about that character at length. He's very active on social media, talking about how much he loves playing the character. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they have him come in and voice a younger version of the character for the Bad Batch, and maybe we could see a younger version of Giancarlo appear in Andor or Kenobi, because we do know both of those shows are definitely a lot bigger if the rumors are true and if all of the speculation is to be believed. Both Kenobi and Andor have seen major rewrites, and the direction has completely changed from what it was when they were first announced. There's going to be a lot more continuity between the shows and everything that's going on within Lucasfilm. You hear a lot of talk about the Filoniverse and what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are doing with their shows and with everything that's coming out on Disney Plus and of course the big screen. But the movies have kind of sort of taken a back seat, and I think a lot of the Disney Plus content is going to be driving Star Wars for at least the next 3 to 4 years, until the next major film is announced. But this continuity is fun. This is what we love about Star Wars, right? Like, we don't have to worry about multiple timelines and continuity, and if things fit together. Like, we know all of these stories being told across all mediums, across all platforms, are connected to our main story in some capacity, and they have connections and tie-ins to each other. So it's just a matter of watching, paying attention to what we are seeing on screen, making connections between what we see in animation, and if there are any references that we can draw between that and something in live action, or something in a comic book, or in a video game, or in a book. That's a really cool thing. Definitely frustrating though early on, especially when it was announced that the EU would be become Legends. That was kind of a rough transition period, but I think now we're in we've caught our stride a bit, and now we're seeing the benefits of that move. And it's not to say that any of these characters will not return. We'll definitely see a lot of the Legends characters come back, especially the fan favorites, but they'll just fit into this new continuity. So yeah, lots of Boba rumors, but wait, hold on, okay, yeah. Fourth wall break, what's happening? Ducky Momo says lots of Boba rumors, but would he even care about Omega? No, I don't think so. Well, it depends. I don't know if he knows Omega. That's the question, right? Like, does he know Omega, and what is their relationship? That would definitely dictate how much he cared about Omega. And second part of the question, if the Kaminoans could find him, wouldn't they just hire him to come in and donate the DNA? Yeah. What do we know of Boba Fett's relationship with the Kaminoans, though? Like, I think it's assumed because he seemed to have a good relationship with Tan We in Attack of the Clones when we meet young Boba for the first time on screen. And in Django on Camino, during that interaction, we're assuming that they have a good relationship with the Kaminoans, but I don't think he has that good of a relationship with Camino. He's never returned. I'm pretty sure that they would have been okay. Well, no, he couldn't have. Guess maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he has an issue with the Kaminoans. Maybe he, because of them being allied with the Jedi and the Republic, and him blaming Mace Windu and probably the Jedi Order to a further extent for the death of his father, maybe that relationship between the Kaminoans and the Republic and the Jedi Order really drove a wedge between him and the Kaminoans. Like, I think that makes sense, but I don't know if that's actually been explained. But no, I don't see him coming back to Kamino. I do see him possibly making an appearance in this series, but I don't see him being an ally to the Kaminoans. What is 21 minutes? Hey, I'm gonna go probably 10 more minutes, 30 minutes for the episode, so 30 minutes for the review. Any more questions while we're in this 10-minute Q&A time period? Let me see. What else? Too much filler, Cat says. I agree. It definitely hurt the episode for me. It's still, it's still entertaining, highly entertaining episode, but it was a very fillery episode. So, if you feel like it was filler, I don't blame you, because I feel the same way. Kendall, what's happening? Hey, go check out Normies and Nerds too if you haven't watched Kendall over there. He makes great content, huge Marvel fan. Love his platform. He does good stuff with getting normies and nerds to collaborate, helping normies become nerds. His whole channel is fire, so go check him out. I've made an appearance on that channel one time too. I definitely want to come back if you ever start talk Star Wars at any point in time. Just hit me up, DM me, what have you. I'll definitely if I got time, if I can make it in my schedule, I'll definitely make an appearance. Daniel says, where are we starting next episode? Where are we? Are you asking where the next episode starts? I believe my guess would be we're probably going to Kamino. I think it will be an a more imperial centric episode. So we might be on Kamino, but because the episode is titled War Mantle, it's definitely going to do with the Empire. He's not. He's just an admiral. Admiral Rampart is going to be probably featured prominently in this next episode. War Mantle is his project. That is his thing. That's his baby. So, his fingers are going to be all over next episode. Where we go, no idea. I have a feeling that Kamino is probably on the menu though. Captain's Log says, don't the Kaminoans only see clones as a resource? Yeah, I think, they're a product, really. They're their product. I'm pretty sure that they take pride in their product, but as far as the, forming bonds and relationships, it's probably not very common. Clones are their livelihood. Like, that's what they do. So they're cloners. So they are assets. They're not necessarily their family and friends. Kat says, it was entertaining, but it should have been an episode for earlier on in the season. I agree with you. It could have come earlier. But, as I said earlier, Roland is a character that they introduced in this episode that I'm pretty sure will play a part later in the series. Probably not in this season, but in subsequent seasons to follow. He's going to be our morally ambiguous criminal. One episode he's against the Bad Batch, and then in another episode they're working together. Very similar to how Hondo operated in the Clone Wars and how Zavago operated in Rebels. He's going to play a very similar role. So I expect to see him again for sure. This episode doesn't really advance the plot and the story. It also does not have a lot of character development for our main characters. One could argue that, Sid has a lot of character development, or at least we understand Sid a little bit more, thanks to her relationship with Omega, or Omega's relationship with Sid. It's kind of sort of, they work in tandem. But if it wasn't for their relationship, this episode probably would have played out a little different. But that's what Omega is good at, and that's typically what the young characters do within these animated shows. Ahsoka is very similar. She was really good at walking between, walking in that, finding that through line, finding the good in everyone. Ezra also did the same thing. Like, Ezra's really good at kind of sort of treating everyone fairly and equally. Like, he wasn't too judgmental. Ahsoka was never too judgmental of anyone she ever interacted with. Omega seems to be the same. So, from that perspective, yes. But at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really advance the story all that much. Mark Hamilton, what's happening? Kendall says, let me know, bro. Yeah, I got you. Aren't we a little too far into the season for an episode like 13? I think so, but I also, knowing how they typically build these arcs, episode 14 through 16 are probably going to be great. It is the final arc. Joel Aaron did confirm on Twitter that we do have 3 more episodes left. So yeah, we should have a nice finale. And I think, if you weren't too big on this episode, trust me, these next 3 episodes will make you forget about whatever bad feelings you felt about this episode. As typical with these types of shows. And you got to think they spent a couple $1 million on this episode, because I don't know what the episode cost was for this show, but I'm going to assume it's probably somewhere in that $5 to $7 million range. So filler, yes, but there are elements of this show that will play out later in the series. So, it's not a complete throwaway episode. It's not like it's one of those throwaway filler episodes. We'll probably see some of these characters again. The Pike Syndicate, for instance, that will probably be something that we can anticipate to see more of. I saw a lot of people online talking about possibly seeing Maul, when you introduce the Pikes, because we know that he took over the Pike Syndicate and a large sum of the criminal underworld during the Clone Wars. It is very possible that we could see Maul at some point. So, just might take a while for this episode to actually kind of sort of pay off. How far back does Moff Gideon go back to the Empire? What would his rank be at the time? Because that would be an incredible cameo. Yeah, so if you're talking about Moff Gideon he started out in ISB, so he was an Imperial Security Bureau agent alongside Callus. He might even know Agent Callus. But at this point in time, he would definitely be in ISB. I don't know what his rank would technically be. I don't know how soon he would have joined ISB. But yeah, he definitely is an ISB agent at this point in time, and we may see him. He may play a role in this series. It would not shock me at all. I think it really comes down to what War Mantle is. Like, if you missed it early on, I was saying I believe a War Mantle could possibly be the Dark Trooper program and the Death Trooper program. It could be a combination of things. Like, War Mantle might encompass just a complete overhaul of the Imperial military. Like, right now they got clones, and they're still using their Clone Wars technology. They got the Walkers from the Clone Wars. They've got the Venator Star Destroyer or battle cruiser, but we don't have any Star Destroyers yet. So War Mantle could encompass overhauling the Imperial Navy, new starships like the TIE Fighter, TIE Interceptor, TIE Bomber, getting rid of the Clone Wars era bombers, the Y-Wings, the ARC fighters, also the V-Wings, and replacing them with what we know as the Imperial armament. So we could see a lot of people are speculating that we could see a Victory class Star Destroyer, which is an EU thing. For those who don't know, the Victory class Star Destroyer is a smaller Star Destroyer. It's not as big as the Imperial Star Destroyer. It's probably, I don't know, like probably 3/4 the size. Maybe half the size. Yeah, about half the size of an Imperial Star Destroyer. And they don't have the same carrying capacity as far as ships and personnel, of course. But I think that the Venators have, because you got to remember that the Victory class Star Destroyer was a thing before the sequel not the sequel trilogy, but the prequel trilogy came out, and they introduced the Acclamator class Star Destroyer or battle cruiser, and then the Venator class battle cruiser that we see featured prominently in the prequels, which we saw transition into the early days of the Empire. I feel like they'll probably completely decommission the Acclamator, which is the smaller battle cruiser that you see a lot of in Attack of the Clones. It's the only battle. It's what the clone troopers arrive in at the Battle of Geonosis. Is that first early looking Star Destroyer. That is a Acclamator class battle cruiser. And then the larger one is the Venator with the 2 command decks that you see introduced in Revenge of the Sith. And then I think the Venator will become what the Victory class was in the EU, and then we will see an Imperial Star Destroyer. We also have the Arquintons class cruisers, which or the light cruiser that Moff Gideon pilots or is in command of at in season 2 of The Mandalorian. A lot of the Imperial Navy is comprised of ships from the Republic. Cool thing about a little known fact, well, not a little known fact, but not a widely known fact, the Arquintons light cruiser actually it was equipped with battle cruiser turbo lasers. So although it's a very small cruiser, it had the same firepower as the battle cruisers, which gave it an advantage because it had a speed advantage, but also had the same weaponry. Fewer weapons, fewer cannons, of course, so the output wasn't the same, but it could hit as hard as a battle cruiser, and it was faster and it's agile. Of course, with that speed and agility, a lot of it is due to lighter hull, of course, so it's not as strong as a battle cruiser or Star Destroyer, but it's a good nimble fighter or frontline cruiser. Oh, I'm over a little bit, but yeah, finale is definitely going to leave us hanging. And did I get everything? But hey, yeah, I'm going to end it here. I'm going to wrap it here. Thank you all for joining. And thanks for listening to my history lesson on the naval ships of the Empire and Republic. That's like one of the main components that got me into Star Wars was the naval fights, and the starships, man. It's like starships and Jedi. That's it. That's my jam. That's my jam for sure. But anyway, it's been fun. Loved reviewing this episode. I think I liked reviewing this episode more than I liked the actual episode. But appreciate you all. And as I always say, wait. Hold on. Let me get my thing right. All right. As I always say, peace, love, blessings, and may the force be with you always.